The dawn of analog 3D is nearly here. Maybe. And as with most analog releases, it's sold out currently. Even if it were readily available. Is the analog 3D the best bang for your buck? I posit, no. Despite some very memorable games, the new Nintendo 3DS XL is going to give you a much better retro kick and bang for your buck. A system is made or broken by its games, and the 3DS's library is a stunner. Let's get right to the meat of things. For those with an analog 3D pre-order, or those searching for a future chance, the 3DS has some of the most beloved Nintendo 64 classics, and those titles weren't just simple ports. The 3DS received enhanced versions. As you can see with this version of Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 3DS, it was a major update. The graphics had a significant change, but it remained faithful to the original's vision, so it isn't like you're playing a different game. The graphics just represent the game much better. You want the best version of Majora's Mask? Same thing applies here as with the Ocarina of Time. I'm a huge fan of Star Fox. I was blown away when it first came out for the Super Nintendo. The Nintendo 64 version was very solid. The Nintendo 3DS version, even better.
Slippy, watch out! Bogey on your tail!
Whoa! Help me!
For those Luigi's Mansion fans out there, the 3DS has you covered with the first two games. This especially stands out because the first game never made it to the Switch or anything else more modern. So unless you have a GameCube, the Nintendo 3DS is your best way to play the original Luigi's Mansion. Getting back to the Legend of Zeldas, the 3DS still has an exclusive Legend of Zelda variant, A Link Between Worlds. If you're a Zelda fan, the 3DS has a lock, and it's definitely going to be worth your while. Going beyond your traditional Nintendo titles, the 3DS has a plethora of Japanese RPGs, which is something that the Nintendo 64 actually lacked. You also have plenty of action-oriented games that can keep you entertained for more time than you probably have. And with that, by comparison, the Nintendo 64's library is significantly smaller than the Nintendo 3DS's, especially if you consider DS backwards compatibility. Another plus for the Nintendo 3DS is the portability. It's fantastic. The Switch is considered a portable console. You're not fitting that in your pocket. The Nintendo Switch 2 got bigger. There's no way you're fitting that in your pocket unless you had some custom pockets made. And then we're talking about a very different type of person. On the go, the 3DS also offers solid battery life, 5 to 6 hours per run. Charger is small, doesn't take up too much space too, another plus. Now, one of the big benefits of the 3DS is the 3D effect. It's the diamond in the rough for the 3DS. No other system thus far has replicated this. To be able to have a 3D effect without glasses on any system, basically you have to go with the 3DS. It isn't a win in every game. Some people get some headaches with the 3D effect, and some games don't benefit from it that much. But there are plenty of games that the 3D effect adds some great depth, graphical layering, and just gives you a better appreciation for what's happening in the game. It also can add to the sense of filmic action, which is appreciated. As mentioned, the 3DS plays DS games. The DS had an infinite amount of games made for it, as the system was extremely popular. You could play a traditional title like Mario 64, or you could play something kind of simple and fun, like The Simpsons. Price is a huge factor. The Analog 3D and the 3DS aren't cheap. If you look at the prices of the Nintendo 3DS, you can get a solid one for probably around $250, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. The Analog 3D costs about the same, plus you have to pay Analog's notorious high shipping rates. When looking for a 3DS, you could probably find something that has free shipping, which makes the 3DS the cheaper option. The 3DS doesn't come without downsides. It's not a perfect system. If you do choose a 3DS over an Analog 3D, you lose out on the big screen option. The graphics may be better on the Nintendo 3DS for Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the like, but you're staring at a much smaller screen. And let's not play around here, size matters. Another downside is the 3DS's charger. It's a proprietary system, which means that if you want to charge the 3DS, you need to bring that specific charger with you. It's not a USB-C, it's not a micro USB. It does mean that you will have to bring that charger along with a USB-C or whatever else you bring for your phones, etc. when you travel, which is kind of annoying. The 3DS does not have the entire Nintendo 64 library available. If you're looking to play GoldenEye, Conker's Bad Fur Day, some of the wrestling games, Wave Race, Blast Corps, Star Wars, you're not going to find them on the Nintendo 3DS. Another downside for me is the joystick on the 3DS. It's not my favorite. It does the job, and I fully get why it was designed the way it was. Nintendo was looking to make the system very portable. They couldn't have a joystick that stood up quite a bit. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't fit and wouldn't make it portable like that. But the 8-bit Do controller for the Analog 3D has a much higher chance of being more comfortable and effective at gameplay. My final nitpick with the Nintendo 3DS is that the system doesn't have Bluetooth. I did go out and purchase a Bluetooth dongle for the 3DS, and it does work, and that's great for me. But it is slightly annoying as I have to connect that dongle, and that's another piece just dangling from the system as I'm playing it, which is kind of annoying. Overall, this isn't an anti-analog video. I actually greatly appreciate what they do. I have a Super NT, a Mega SG, and I recently acquired a Pocket. I may consider an Analog 3D down the line, but without seeing some results in gameplay first, I did hesitate. Also, I had experimented with some old Nintendo 64 games using a cheaper HDMI converter. That was a horrible choice. On a large screen TV, those cheap HDMI converters do not do the N64 games any favors. Basically a gigantic sloppy mess. But beyond that, I found myself also disillusioned with the games and the gameplay. A lot of the early 3D games, Nintendo 64 and PlayStation, our memories of them may be better than the actual games themselves. When looking back, that generation could be characterized by clunky controls, awkward game design, and visuals that don't translate well, no matter the resolution. This is just food for thought, and just a reminder that nostalgia can sometimes get the better of us all. So, do you have a 3DS? Are you happy with it? Would you consider picking one up instead of an Analog 3D? Or are you in the camp that you're anxiously awaiting the Analog 3D's release and can't wait to play those games and bring back those childhood memories? And for those of you that really love the big Nintendo, do you plan to own both? Let me know in the comments.